Hello there guys, it's Donnabellez. I know it's been a while. Did y'all miss me? I missed you, I promise. Just some things have been going on in my life that have prevented me from making videos in quite a while. So I'm very sorry about that, but if you want to know what's been going on, I'll fill you in a little bit. I'll just put something in the description there in the bottom bar for you. So anyway, today I have something completely different than what you're used to. And it's not really even video game related. This is actually a paranormal tag created by a fellow YouTuber named Graveyard Girl. And if you've never heard of her, she's actually a fellow Texan, woohoo, which is actually really appropriate because today is Texas Independence Day. Hell yeah. But she's from Houston and she actually does a lot of beauty videos and outfit of the day kind of stuff. She's a beauty guru. Very girly stuff. But she actually has a lot of paranormal vlogs that she did in the past and they're very interesting to watch. So I definitely recommend going and checking her out. Now the reason I wanted to make this video is because I have mentioned in the past, especially I think in Mario Galaxy Versus with Attacking Toucans, which by the way finished today. The finale's up, so go watch that after this too. But anyway, I mentioned that I was interested in the paranormal and kind of told a little story about my experiences in that, that series. And I've gotten a lot of questions about what I believe and my opinions and everything about the paranormal and ghosts since then. Also, I did a bin series, and I've gotten a lot of questions about that as well. And all I have to say is, of course it's real. If it weren't real, like, why would my Majora's Mask Let's Play still be going on to this day? It's because it's cursed, guys. Duh. So if you haven't seen that, definitely go check it out. It's creepy, it's awesome, and I am convinced that Ben has haunted my Majora's Mask Let's Play. Will it ever be finished? We don't know. Stay tuned. Oh, by the way, notice my dead shriveled up roses here left over from Valentine's Day. Aren't they beautiful? I actually saved them specifically for this video because, I mean, dead shriveled up flowers in a video about death. I think it's appropriate, don't you? Also, today is my birthday. Talking about death and ghosts on the day of my birth. Oh yeah. I know it doesn't make sense, but I do what I want, okay? Bitches. Anyway, I'm going to get going with this tag. There are 13 questions, and I'm going to try to explain them as fast as I can because I know I tend to ramble about this. It's just so interesting. Question number 1. How old were you when you had your first paranormal experience? Well, I'm not sure exactly my age because I didn't write it down when it actually happened, so this is all from memory. But I do know that my great-grandmother died when I was in the 3rd grade, so I was about 8 or 9 when that happened, and my actual paranormal experience happened maybe a year or 2 after her death. So my great-grandmother, her name was Anna, and she died of Alzheimer's disease. And at the time of her death, it was really bad and very advanced, and she didn't even recognize her own sons and daughters. She would just be like, "Oh, thank you so much for visiting," but she didn't even know who they were. So it was very heartbreaking to go through and see my grandfather go through. It was his mother, and I actually grew up with my grandfather and my grandmother. So to see them going through this was really heartbreaking for me, especially at a young age. I didn't actually know her very well, so I wasn't like overly distraught when she died, but I did see that my grandpa was. Okay, so what actually happened occurred, like I said, a year or 2 after her death. And this happened in my grandfather's house, in his bedroom. And I grew up with my grandparents, like I said, my whole life. So one of my chores was to dust around the house, and one day I was dusting the fan blades above my grandfather's bed. What you could do was stand on the bed and see above the fan blades, and you know, what I used to do, just to make, I guess, dusting more fun in my little kid brain, was to just write my name in the caked on dust above the fan blades, and then I'd dust it off afterwards. And you know, sometimes I'd write it all on one blade, and sometimes I'd write one letter on each blade, D-O-N-N-A. So one day I went up to dust, and I hadn't dusted in a while, so it was caked on pretty thick. It was pretty gross. But I noticed that there was writing already in there, and I was like, that's weird. I don't remember writing in this because I hadn't dusted in a while. So I noticed each fan blade had a letter on it, and I saw N, and I turned the blades in A. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I did write this because that's my name, right? I just saw the last part. So I spun it around, and I didn't see the D or the O. All I saw was A in A, which spells out Anna. That's my great-grandmother's name. When I realized that it wasn't my name, and I knew that I hadn't written that in the dust, it wasn't even in my handwriting. I told my grandpa about it, and he actually loved the story. He was like, what his interpretation of it was that my grandmother wasn't meaning to scare me, and although it did scare me at the time, he was like, it's okay, she was one of the sweetest people in the world. I'm sure she was just telling us that she remembered us after her death, and that she loved us, and that she wanted to say hi, and, you know, basically like I'm sorry I had to go this way, but I still remember you and I still love you, which I love. And it was in her son's room, so I feel like she knew that I would see it and that I would probably tell her son. And my grandfather loved the story, so that's what I get from it now. It was very scary at the time, but not anymore. I love that story. Question number 2. Have you always believed in ghosts? Well, since my first paranormal experience happened at about age 9 or 10, anything that happened before that, I never really thought of, connecting it with ghosts. So there was no reason for me not to believe in them, but there wasn't a reason for me to definitely believe in them. I do know that I was first introduced to the concept of ghosts actually being real, and actual spirits wandering the earth in kindergarten when a friend of mine actually brought in an article from, I think, a paper or a magazine about a spirit moving, a cup of water and a chair. I think it was an experiment, and she talked about it, and I was like, wow, that is fascinating. So from then on, I was just hooked, and I love scary stories. I've always loved scary stories, always. But I never really, played with the concept of them being actually real and for something to actually happen to me until I had that experience with my great-grandmother. Number 3, what is your favorite place to investigate? Okay, well, I haven't actually been on an investigation, but I have broken into a abandoned hotel or two. Specifically the Baker Hotel in Mineral Wells, Texas, which is actually huge and scary as hell. You could call it an investigation, but it was mostly just kids breaking into the hotel and seeing what they could find. It's a really cool place to go see, even if you didn't know it was haunted, but to know it's haunted is just 10 times better. So what we'd used to do is travel the 30 minutes to this little broke-ass town called Mineral Wells, and it is in the center of the town is this huge hotel called the Baker Hotel, which was really famous in, I think, the 40s, 50s, 60s, something like that. And a lot of famous people used to go in there, movie stars and rich and famous, and they used to go to get spa treatments in the mineral water that used to be there, which is why the town is called Mineral Wells. So a few deaths have occurred there, and now it's very haunted, and some of my friends actually had experiences while they were there. One of them, I think her fingers and toes got numb. She had a panic attack. She had to go outside. One of my friends, the guy specifically, would smell women's perfume on a certain floor, which was supposedly the floor where this woman, this mistress of the hotel owner, committed suicide from, apparently. And she only lets herself be known to men. So that's a pretty cool thing. But nothing ever happened to me because I'm not really sensitive. I just got nauseous in there, honestly. That may constitute a sensitivity, but just know it's really scary in there and awesome. So that would be my favorite place I've ever been to investigate. Question 4. What's your favorite investigating tool? Well, I've never actually used any investigating tools either because I've never actually been on an investigation. If I were to use tools, though, I think an EVP detector would be the best thing ever because EVPs are amazing. You can hear the voice of the spirit that you're talking to. Sometimes they are intelligent responses. You'll ask a question and, you'll get an actual response to the question you're asking. It's not just some like random words or something. So those are pretty cool. There's also this machine called an Donnabellez, I believe, and instead of giving you EVPs, it actually displays digitally the word that the spirit is manipulating the machine to say. So you'll ask questions like you're asking a spirit for an EVP, like how many people are in this room, and the machine will display 4. Or what do you want from us? And it'll say go, and then attic. So those are really cool too. I would definitely want to use something to get EVPs or to somehow display the words that the spirit wants me to hear. Number 5. What is your scariest paranormal experience? Well, besides from the experience that I had with my great-grandmother, which was very frightening at the time, I was very scared. What actually happened that was very scary to me happened in public, and it was in my freshman year of college. I was going to UNT in Denton, Texas, and I actually lived on campus. So I believe I was going to English class one morning, and I was kind of late because I didn't really want to be in college at that time. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to class. And this class was just a couple buildings away from my dorm. And I was walking up kind of slow. And in order to get to the class, which was on the 3rd floor of the building, you had to go up this huge staircase. Whenever you went into the staircase, there was doors. So, and it was a really echoey chamber, so whenever somebody opened or closed the doors, you could hear it from the 3rd floor, you know, if someone opened and closed the bottom floor door. So anyway, I was walking up really slow, and usually there's a lot of people in there, but since I was late, there wasn't. Nobody else was walking to class. I was just being a slowpoke. So I was walking up, like, I think I was probably looking at my phone or something, and I heard some people behind me, and I didn't think anything of it. And then I kind of stopped and did something on my phone, and I noticed that there weren't any footsteps behind me. And then I noticed silence behind me. I was like, why didn't I hear the door close or open if nobody's in here with me? I was just like, that's weird. So I kept walking, and I heard somebody whisper right behind me. And that's when I realized that nobody else was in the stairwell with me. Nobody was behind me, and I didn't hear any footsteps behind me either. So right when I realized that, I booked it up the stairs. It scared me so bad because I've heard of hauntings happening at that school there, but nothing had ever happened to me. I got into class, and I was out of breath. I was like, I'm here, I made it. Oh my God. I was never late to that class ever again because I did not want to be in that stairwell by myself ever again. God, that was scary. 6. What is your favorite paranormal experience? Definitely the one with my great-grandmother, because I believe that it really was her and that she was trying to say hello to us. And, you know, it's a sweet story. It really is. And I love that she connected with us. And I believe that she was just saying, you know, I'm here. I love you. I'm watching over you. And I love that. And I didn't really hear from her again very many times. It only happened in the next like year or so afterwards. So, you know, whenever I'd go near the fan, I remember one time specifically, as soon as I went up and looked at the dust on the fan blades, my radio in my room started playing. And it never did that. It was like an older radio that didn't have any like automatic switches or anything. You couldn't set a timer on it for it to turn on or anything like that. When I went into my room to check it out, it was unplugged from the wall. So take what you want from that, but that scared me a lot. So stuff like that happened a lot, actually. It's still my favorite paranormal experience, even though it scared the crap out of me. Number 7, do you know anyone else personally who has paranormal experiences? No, actually, not anymore. I did know somebody in high school that used to have demon experiences, or that's what she said they were at night. She was a very religious person, so I'm sure that she thought that they were demons. They might have been because they sounded evil. She said that they used to speak to her at night and used to turn off and on her bedroom light and just tease her and stuff like that, and it sounded very terrifying, so I wouldn't be surprised if they were demons. Also, one of my managers at work has told me that he has had some paranormal experiences at work. It's in this very old restaurant called the Gristmill in Green, and it's an old cotton gin, and there's been a fire there and everything, so I wouldn't doubt that there's creepy stuff going on there, because at night that place is so scary. I know that he said he's seen people walk across corridors when the actual restaurant was closed, and one of the cleaners that was in there one night saw a little girl, and then he asked one of the managers, "Oh, so you brought your little girl to work?" And he's like, "No, there's no little kids here," and it was way after closing time. So yeah, things like that happen there quite often, and you hear stories just from day to day working there. It's pretty creepy. Other than the other people that actually had experiences at the Baker Hotel, I don't know anyone else who's really sensitive to paranormal activities and has them happen often, though. Number 8. Do you have trouble convincing your friends and family about your paranormal experiences? Well, the experience with my great-grandmother, I actually told my grandpa about it, and he just thought it was strange, and he liked that it could have been my great-grandmother. He liked it, so that he wasn't very hard to convince at all. Everyone else I've really told about it have said that it's creepy, but they weren't really like, oh, you know. I know some people have been like, well, maybe you were distressed and you did that unconsciously or something. Like maybe you were trying to write your name, but somehow it like unconsciously came out as Anna or something. But I do not remember writing my name on those fan blades. Just like a lot of paranormal experiences can be debunked, and maybe they do have a good explanation, but some things, I believe, really, truly do happen to people, and they're not crazy. Because they've happened to me as well. And I'm not crazy. Not very, anyway. Number 9, favorite paranormal TV show or movie? TV show, most definitely Ghost Adventures. Zach Bagans is my future husband. He just doesn't know it yet. Seriously, it is the best TV show with paranormal stuff. I've been watching paranormal TV shows since I was about 10 or 11, since that thing happened to me with my great-grandmother. And they are by far the most exciting people to watch. They just get the best evidence, and I know it could be construed as like fake or them overreacting, but I love it. It's very entertaining, and I believe that a lot of what they get is very astounding evidence. Movies I could go on all day about because I love movies. When I wasn't playing video games when I was younger, I was watching movies. Number 1 favorite movie ever, Here's Johnny. I love this movie. In fact, it's playing on my TV right now. It's just on silent. I watch this movie all the time. Definitely one of my favorites. I guess you could call it paranormal or not, but I love it. It's just really entertaining to me. Also, one of the scariest paranormal videos I've ever seen is actually Korean, I believe. It's called A Tale of Two Sisters. If you've ever heard of this, do not watch this at night by yourself. That's all I'm saying. Also, another good one that I really love is called The Others with Nicole Kidman. That one, I believe, is just really represents kind of what it would be like to be a ghost, you know? No spoilers here, but I just think it's a really good movie. It's really interesting, too. Also, The Skeleton Key with, what's her name? Kate Hudson. That's a good one, too. Good twist ending. Love it. Number 10. What would be your dream place to investigate? I would really love to go back to the Baker Hotel and actually go with some real investigating tools. That would be fascinating because I know other people had experiences and I didn't, which made me really sad, but I would still love to see what's there because I've always been fascinated with that place. The Ghost Adventures crew went there too, and they got some really good evidence. I'd love to see it for myself firsthand. Also, anything in New Orleans, also anywhere in Europe as well. I have been to Europe before, but I would love to go back and investigate and go on an actual ghost hunt, especially in like Edinburgh and in the catacombs there and the graveyards. Europe is just so full of history. It has to be full of ghosts. You know it has to be teeming with ghosts there. But anyway, I'm a history buff. I could go on about this forever. I would love to go on any investigation. Not by myself, but, you know, with the team, with the good experienced team, because I'm a wuss. honestly. Any place to go would be amazing. Number 11. Do you prefer to investigate in a group or by yourself? Aha! By myself, yeah, right. You would have to pay me some good money to go by myself. Like I said, I'm a wuss. Definitely not going by myself, ever. Even if it's with someone else who's deathly afraid of ghosts, I will go with them instead of going by myself, seriously. Just hold my hand. Number 12. Is your home haunted? Well, obviously, my grandfather's home where I grew up was a little bit haunted. Yeah, definitely. In this home, rather, it's an apartment. As you can see, it's, it's not very big. It's new, actually. I think it's 10 years old. I doubt anybody's died in here. I don't know. They could have. You never know. I doubt anybody old lived here because I live on the 3rd floor, so I don't know. I don't see an old woman coming and up these stairs every day and then just, dying of old age or something. I just don't see that happening. But I know you guys may not believe me, but at night, whenever I stick my feet out from my covers, I'll feel, I'm going to sound crazy, I feel like someone poking at my feet. Just like really light poking. Not even tickling or anything, but just really, really light poking. And it's only when I stick my feet out of the covers. And it hasn't happened recently a lot, but it has happened for quite some time. And it doesn't really bother me, it doesn't scare me, because it seems like somebody like just joking just to like annoy me, like, haha, she's sleeping. Let's poke her feet. One night it happened, and I was in the bedroom by myself, and like my dogs weren't in there or anything, and I could feel it poking at my feet. And I just got so annoyed because I had to sleep and get up early the next morning. So eventually I was just like, stop it! And it stopped. And I don't know. Any way to explain that? I don't know, because I don't feel it when my feet are under the covers. I don't know if it's like restless leg syndrome or whatever. I'm not really sure what that is, but nothing like that ever has ever happened before, and it doesn't really happen often anymore, and nothing else really happens. I mean, there's odd sounds and stuff every once in a while, but I live in an apartment. There's a bunch of other people who live in the same building, so I can't really take any of that seriously, The poking at the feet, though, I don't know. It's a bit strange, a bit annoying, too. Also, sometimes Kona, my dog, she'll just look up into space at something that's not there. Like, if she follows a bug, her eyes will move. You know what I mean? But sometimes she just stares. Like, in space. That's scary. I don't like that. Nope, not at all. And lucky number 13. Have you ever had any paranormal experiences with animals? Well, speaking of doggies, I did have another paranormal experience in my grandfather's house, and it happened to be with my deceased weenie dog named Jody. And she died when I was in the 3rd grade as well. A lot of things happened in the 3rd grade. My little dachshund, I grew up with her my whole life, and she died really sick, and I was so sad about her. She was the first death that I was extremely upset about that I'd experienced in my life. I was sad about my great-grandmother, but with my dog, I grew up with her my whole life, so she was like my best friend. So she died. And I had to help bury her in my backyard, and that was traumatic. The most traumatic experience I'd ever gone through as a 10-year-old. So anyway, at night, I kept hearing her collar and her little footsteps go down the hallway at night. So I heard that a few times. I always thought it was my imagination. But one time I actually came home, and I saw her sitting on my couch. And then I did a double take and look back, and she wasn't there. So, I did have another little dog around, Angel. She was a Jack Russell Terrier, but she was a puppy, and she didn't have a jingly collar on at the time. So, it was definitely my dachshund's collar that made that sound. And it was definitely her on the couch because she was brown a little red dachshund, and my Jack Russell was white and black. So it was definitely her that I saw. And as soon as I realized that she wasn't on the couch or that she disappeared, I was extremely sad. I missed her a lot. So that could have been my imagination, but I did hear and see her. So, yep, that's what's happened to me. If y'all have any good paranormal experiences or just small paranormal experiences or enough to even fill up this whole tag yourself, please, please, please let me know. I love this subject. I could go on and on about it all day, and I'm so sorry if this video went on way too long, but it's just one of these things that really, really interests me, and it has my whole life, and I would definitely love to go on an investigation someday. I know a couple of my subscribers have said that they're investigation teams. That's awesome. Definitely make your own videos of this. Do your own paranormal tag, and definitely send me the links and post them as a video response to this video because I would love to hear from you. Anyway, I might do more kind of videos like this in the future depending on how you guys like this one, and I will still continue my video game videos, I promise. I just have to get back into the swing of that. So I hope you enjoyed my video. Thank you so much for watching, and happy ghost hunting. Bye guys.